Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by brilliance.
What is up, Internet? That's right, it's another episode of the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast. I'm your host, founder, creator, all things awesome, Josh Will. If you haven't listened to the podcast, the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast was created to bring together like-minded people who don't get offended by much, but who are annoyed by most things. That's this guy. That's our guest. That's why he's here. It's a podcast where humor, levity, and even a little bit of serious discussion will give you a glimpse into the inner working of mine and my guests' brains. I myself am a self-proclaimed get off my lawn guy. I like to think that my guests are self-proclaimed to get off my lawn guys or girls. You'll hear some funny stories, some stupid concepts, and a whole lot more from some really interesting people and some not so interesting people, which is a great segue into our guest. My guest today is Brent Niekamp. Brent's been married to his wife Kimberly for 21 years. They have 4 children: Carly, Andy, Ellie, and Audrey. Sounds to me like there's a outnumbering of men in that house, and they need some more testosterone, if what
Definitely.
I'm reading is right. So,
yeah, Andy and I have to batten down the hatches a little bit, and sometimes, hide out in the basement, play guitar or whatever, but just go out in the garage and break stuff with a wrench or, do man things.
There you go. All right, we'll talk more about that. Brent's a 1990 graduate of Fort Recovery High School, a 2003 graduate of Tri-State University. That's right, Brent's an OG, which is why he doesn't call it Trine University.
Right.
So he's an OG. Brent's entering his 23rd year of teaching and coaching. A majority of that career was spent teaching and coaching at his alma mater, Fort Recovery, where he did lead the football team to a state championship in 2015. Quickly, it should be acknowledged. I'm summarizing Brent here in a few sentences, but it's obvious that the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast has the privilege to have many champions on it, and Brent Niekamp is one of those. So, Brent, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. It's great to talk to you. Again after so many years. I'm not sure I can remember the last time we were together someplace. It might have been somebody's wedding or something years ago, but. I was excited when I saw you start doing this podcast because I was listening to you and Brandon on the first one, and I thought this is a conversation that we were having on somebody's front porch some Saturday night in Angola, and it just restarted. We could jump right into the same conversation.
Yeah, no, exactly. Before we started recording, I was telling you. I've had people who I've asked to be on this podcast, and I'm like, you are a great conversationalist. I know this will be fun. It'll be great. And they're like, no, I don't want to do a podcast. I'm like, it's literally a conversation amongst friends. Yeah. Like take the recording away, sit out on a deck somewhere, on a boat, on a porch, have a beer, and just do what we would do. So that's really a good analogy by you. So what's going on with you? Give us a brief summary of what's going on in the Niekamp household. All things fun. Anything exciting going on for you guys?
Or
is it just another day?
We recently moved down to Tip City, so we're kind of getting acclimated. Okay. School starts in a couple weeks. I'm deep in it with football. I'm assisting down here with the offensive line.
Okay.
Their head coach is a guy that I've known for years. We faced each other. Matt Burbacher, when he was at Fort Laramie, and I was at Fort Recovery, we scrimmaged each other, so we knew each other from way back. And some things just fell into place, and I had a chance to work with him. So I'm getting ready for school. Kim's getting ready for school. I got a daughter playing volleyball. I got a son playing football. Another daughter getting ready to go to college. So it's just like ready, fire, aim here every day.
You're building the plane while you're flying it, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you're doing. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, a lot of chaos, and you probably wouldn't have it any other way. So share with the guests how do we know each other, the people listening. How do you and I know one another? And go ahead.
Well,
Share it with.
I guess I knew who you were back in high school because we competed against each other in high school. You were at Delphi St. John's and I was at Fort Recovery. And were you? I don't know. You weren't a basketball player, were you? You played basketball. I was also a forgettable basketball player. You were probably better than me, but
Yeah. Look, it depends. I was the guy. I would hustle. I hustled. I played hard defense. I set hard screens. You know, I made a few baskets here or there, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
that sounds like a couple of football players playing basketball, right? But that was about exactly the same for me. So we played against each other in high school sports, but I didn't really know you then. And I got to know you at Tri-State where we were teammates for 4 years. And, you know, our friend group was kind of a bunch of guys that played high school ball against each other and then became really good friends in college. And it's funny, and I tell my kids all the time, like, you play against these kids when you're younger, and sometimes these rivals, you think, oh my gosh, I hate this person. And what you find out when you get out of school and you go meet them in college or at work or wherever, you find out you're just like them or they're just like you. Like those people become your best friends, and that's exactly what happened at Tri-State.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, I wanted Brent to bring up that we played against each other in high school because I did want to point out that my senior year when we played Fort Recovery, I had two interceptions. One of them was for a touchdown, pick six. But I don't remember a lot of things these days, but I do remember that. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Well, you guys were a machine that year, and we weren't very good. And you probably beat us 60-0. And it probably could have been 160
like that. It was something
because you guys were in the middle of your big streak, I think.
Yeah, our junior year, which would have been Brandon's senior year, and Kurt Miller's senior year, is when, well, technically the streak started my sophomore year, Brandon's junior year. It was I think it was the last game of that year. And then our junior year, senior year, we won state my junior year, we won state my senior year. They went on to win state that next year as well. So that record has since been broken. I think it was broken 2 years ago or a year ago by Marion Local.
Marion beat it last year. It was last year. Yeah.
So it held for a while.
Oh, yeah.
It held for a while, but yeah. So Brent and I played against each other in high school. And to his point, we knew of each other, and then we ended up going to the same college to play football. We were teammates there for 4 years. And that's how we know each other. So, and it's been a minute since Brent and I have caught up. So, and I say this all the time when I'm catching up with people is this podcast is really, it's just a fun hobby. But what it's really done is brought me joy in reconnecting with people that I haven't talked to in a while. You know, we're at a different stage in life, and people have a willingness to talk. And I'm glad that you're on the podcast today. So,
it's amazing how quickly everybody diverges, right? Like everybody is because like I was probably, I mean, you have good friends in high school, and some people you still keep in touch with and you're good friends with, but like the guys that you're with in college, especially teammates, you go through 4 years of college ball together, which is a grind. So you really develop a tight relationship, and then you live with some of those guys, so they're like your best friends. And then you graduate, you get a job, you get married, you have a family, and pretty soon, oh my God, it was 10 years since I've seen that guy or longer. It's just it's amazing how fast that happens. So I'm really glad you did this because it gives the opportunity to, even if you're not on it, to listen to your conversations with other old friends. And I mean, I love the conversation that you had with Coach Niekamp the other day. I listened to the whole thing while I was cleaning out the garage, and of course with Hayne, he's walking entertainment. So
he is. He's a dandy. Yeah, Coach Niekamp. That he's. I said this the other day, but my wife's like, why do you she's like, you're 44, he's 50. Why do you call him coach? I'm like, he was my coach. So I mean, I don't know. It's just what it is. Like, it feels weird to say, hey Joe,
Yep.
right? It's
Yep.
but yeah, he's it was good to he and I have exchanged messages and a little bit over the years, but I was glad he came on, and it was a good fun conversation and engaged. Like, you reached out, Eric Hensel reached out, Craig Parks reached out. I found out Craig Parks only lives like an hour from me.
Really?
So it was, So it's cool because people are, and I told my wife, I said, there's these different groups of friends that you have, like you just alluded to, like your college friends who you spend the time with, your high school friends if you stay connected, your professional friends, and so on and so forth. So I said, what's interesting is I'm seeing that with this podcast. Like, there's these different pockets of, okay, a bunch of my high school friends and classmates listen to like Brandon's podcast or some of my other buddies that we went to high school with. Football players, college teammates, college buddies are like, oh, the Coach Nemeth one gets them engaged. So I told her, I said, I did one with Hensel last night. That'll come out. So you and Hensel's will end up being back-to-back weeks. But I said, what'll end up happening is I'm hoping that some other people will hear it and they'll start to reach out. And even if they don't want to be on the podcast, it's just cool to engage and like pick up where we left off. So
yeah.
So my next question for you is why did you agree to be on this podcast? I mean, I knew that you were excited to listen to some of the stuff, but I reached out and said, hey, Brent, you want to be on the podcast? And you agreed to. Why would you agree to be on a stupid podcast like this about nothing?
Well, first of all, just to visit with you again for 45 minutes or so, that's worth it right there. But also, I'm a little bit of a grumpy old man. My daughters remind me over and over that I have a little bit of that in me. So sometimes when you get on your get off my lawn rants, I can relate a little bit.
Well, that's perfect. That's a perfect segue into my next question. When you hear the phrase "get off my lawn," what does that mean to you?
Oh, it's like it's definitely like the grouchy old grandpa who's bothered by everything, who just wants to sit on his front porch and have a drink and a cigar, and he doesn't care that cigars are bad for him either. Like, at this point, he doesn't care. He just wants to sit there and relax and enjoy, whatever he's listening to AM radio. And he wants the neighbor kids to shut up and get off his lawn and keep their dogs quiet so he can enjoy his evening. I just described like every old man.
Oh, I love asking that question.
Kid.
Well, here's the thing. Tony, my wife, she tells me, she's like, I feel like you're a 44-year-old man trapped with the mindset of an 80-year-old. And I'm like, I take it as the ultimate compliment, because I tell her, I'm like, I think that generation you're right about a lot of things at that age.
Yeah.
It just comes off as grumpy because you're 80 and you've fucking dealt with things for 80 years. So, but yeah, so and that leads us to our Get Off My Lawn segment, right? Where, if you've listened to the podcast or watched the podcast, I've been compiling this list on my phone. Every time I see something stupid happens or something that annoys me or, what I call a get off my lawn moment. And it's really what initiates it. It's something that makes me turn my head like this. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? And it's just, I'm like, people are just dumb and they do stupid things. So, and I'm finding through this podcast that there's a lot of people that get annoyed by a lot of the same things. So I think that this podcast is starting a movement. But so here's what we do. I know you've listened to the podcast before, but I'm going to let you share your get off my lawn situation or scenario, and we'll talk about it, and then I'll share mine. So what's a get off my lawn situation or scenario that would make you a get off my lawn guy, or something that frustrates you or annoys you, Brent?
Oh, I think definitely especially because of like my line of work, like when people try to identify a kid as like an athlete when they're like 8, you know, and they're
Uh,
trying to be like, oh, this kid's gonna be the next whatever, or they try to decide all of their potential when they're like 8 years old, and so they either decide they're going to be the next, insert whatever great athlete, or they decide that they're terrible and should go learn how to play piano or something else. Which there's that's fantastic too. But like just instead of just letting the kid play because it's probably good for them, and they might make some friends and learn some things by doing it, and if they're good, they're good. If they're not, they're not. Like why can't that just be enough when we get involved in that stuff? That's like, if you've like, if I get on a soapbox, that's going to be it for sure. And that's
right.
like,
Well,
that's my constant get off my lawn thing.
well, especially considering, obviously the profession that you're in and what you do, and like, there's so many examples of that you see, like nationally, right? You, like that baby Gronk thing.
Yeah.
That guy's, I don't know if you remember seeing any of that. That guy, his dad is just out there,
Yeah.
like just pushing him, like selling. He'll sell that kid for an NIL deal.
Yeah.
But to your point, and that's part of here's some here. I didn't plan on this being some get off my lawn for me, but that's some of the bullshit why kids just they don't know. If you find a kid, I'm assuming you'll attest to this because you've been coaching for a long time. You find a kid who just puts his or her nose down and does the work and grinds it out. My guess would be, because I'm not in that arena, is that those kids are few and far between. That'd be my guess.
Well,
Is that right? Is that accurate?
Well, actually, there's way more good kids. Like for the most part,
Well, I'm not saying not good kids. But I'm saying athletically, when you have kids who are like, they are talented, but they don't act like it. They put their head down. They do the work. They grind it out. They're,
there's a lot
those
of
kids
them.
are probably. I guess my thought would be
Yeah,
those kids
there's
aren't.
still, there's still a lot of people that are really encouraging, and that's really all you have to be. Is it just encourage them? Just hey, go do your best. Listen to your coach. Try your hardest and have good character while you do it. And sun will come up tomorrow, and that's that's good enough. And there are a lot of those. I get really annoyed with the ones that aren't though. And you do like it's probably not really that much worse than it used to be, but it's probably just in our faces way more. Like it's on TV, it's on social media. There's so many more avenues to showcase that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody thinks their kid is God's gift, right? I mean, that's normal. But I like to get wound up about it, and just like so much of the way that stuff is set up, I'm convinced like most of like youth sports stuff is it's to show, not to grow. Like it's to go, we're going to go compete against this other team because we want to show everybody how good our kids are, instead of let's just do stuff that helps them actually develop more. Like they play way more games than they practice. That doesn't make any sense. You should practice way more than you play, that kind of stuff. See, I'm on my old man.
It's funny that I love it. I fucking love it, man. It's funny that you say the thing about the show versus grow, because so me, Brandon, and I and a couple other buddies, during COVID we started gaming. We started gaming on Xboxes, and I liked it because you got a headset on and I'm talking with these guys, right? Like, is the game fun? Kind of, but I enjoyed it because of the camaraderie, and I think those guys do too. But my brother-in-law, who is he coaches golf. He used to coach softball as well at Columbus Grove. He stays up on high school sports, and when I think, with the Ohio high school playoffs, the two of the teams that were supposed to play Marion local like bowed out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
This past season.
yeah,
And who stepped up to play them? Fort Recovery, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
And we're having this conversation, and I was like, I'll take fucking Brent Niekamp and that team all day long. They're gonna give them hell. And these guys are like, Josh, have you seen Marion local play? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about the record. I don't care about how good they are. I'm like, just takes one time. So I was hyping you up. I know it didn't work in your favor, but I had your back because I'm like, yeah, give me some tough grinders, and they'll find a way. 1 out of every 10 times,
Yeah.
they might find a way.
And that's what we had. We didn't have very many of them, but we had tough kids, and they were willing to compete, and we did. We showed up, and I thought played as well as we possibly could, and Marion did what they do, and they,
Yeah.
they did the same thing to the state team in the state finals. So you just when you face an opponent that good, you just have to tip your cap. But well, my attitude is you're there to compete, right? So, and I would
So
say
you go
this.
compete.
I'll say this, and here's another get off my lawn thing. The whole thing with the playoffs and the people being like, well, we don't want to play Marion because it's not going to be safe, and those matchups, the 16 teams, the 16 seeds and the 1 seeds, that they're not safe matchups. With the running clock rule, it's way safer than it's ever been. Those games, if they're a blowout, they're over in 20 minutes. The JV kids are playing the whole second half. And especially, Marion Local is the cleanest team you can ever play against. They don't say boo. They go execute really, really well, pick you up, pat you on the butt, and go back to the huddle. So it's what those things came down to. And I'll take this to my grave, is the adults didn't want to be embarrassed.
No.
They didn't want to play a team that was going to beat them by 60 because they knew it was going to happen because Marion was that good. It wasn't a safety thing because that game was over with in 10 minutes. They running clock, whatever. There's ways to mitigate that. So you're there to compete, go compete.
Well, you just flipped a switch on me, so I'm going to bring up some grievances that you just brought up, right? So, well, one, here's a positive first is you talk about showing or growing. I mean, you taking your kids to play Marion Local in that game, that playoff game, you're going to game plan to beat them, but ultimately, kids need to go through adversity. They need to understand that not everything's going to be easy. So I'm sure there's some type of intangible that your kids learn from that, which is going to benefit them in the future. That's a positive. My grievance here is the entire Ohio high school playoff system. It's like everybody gets in. You get in. Oh, you won 3 games this year? You get in. Come on down. What the bleep? I mean, come on, man. Maybe you don't want to say on a podcast your thoughts on this, and you don't have to, but are you with me? Is that bullshit, or
I disagree with you completely.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think they should all be.
All right, let's hear it.
Here's why, like in our situation at Fort Recovery all those years, we actually had pretty good teams compared to other teams our size in the state, and we played in a really, really tough league with a really hard schedule, and often couldn't win enough games to get in. So when we had that stretch in 2014, 15, 16, we got in the playoffs in 2014, and right away went to Fort Laramie, beat them 28-8, and everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, what happened? When did we get so good?" Well, we were always pretty good, but relative to those really high level teams, we weren't. And so I'll just say, you just said, "Oh, this team won 3 games and they got in the playoffs." In 2021, we won 3 games, got in as a 14 seed, and went down and beat Arcanum, who was undefeated. Oh no, I'm sorry, they had 2 losses. Beat them by 2 scores. Your alma mater went to the regional.
I know.
They were at a 15 or a 16, and now
they were. I think they were the 16.
Now they wouldn't have that opportunity.
Yeah. Look, you make a compelling argument. I will agree to disagree. I understand what you're saying. I guess what I would do is let's meet in the middle, because I feel like, and didn't stay on top of Ohio's high school sports, but it went from, what was it, the top 4 teams in a region to 8. Did they double it or did they triple it or what?
It went.
So
I think it moved to 8 teams in like 1999 or 2000, some time in the early 2000s to late 90s, and then it stayed that for a long time. And then after COVID, it was supposed to go to 12. In the COVID year, everybody got in. And then the following year, they moved it to 16 instead of the 12.
Okay.
And
all right. Well, hey, I'm not here to berate my guests, even if I completely disagree with them.
I know. I don't have a very popular opinion when it comes to that. Actually.
Yeah. Well, do they still do the computer rankings there too?
Yeah.
So in theory, though, Fort Recovery, if you're playing good ball against these good teams, I mean, you would in theory have a better shot than a team who plays in a terrible league that wins all their games, in theory, with the computer system, right? In theory.
In theory. I missed you. You cut out there for a second.
It wasn't worth repeating. It wasn't that good. All right, Brent. So you shared a lot of get off my lawn stuff there. What I like to do is I ask my guests after they share their get off my lawn situation, and you shared a couple, so that people don't just think we're here to bitch and complain and be negative. How can you turn that into a positive, or what positive can you take from? And let's just use the first one, for example, which was saying, okay, this kid's 8, he's going to be good, he's not going to be good. So that whole situation that frustrates you, what positive could you take from it?
I really try to be the opposite of that with my own kids and just encourage them, and hopefully, they have a good experience. Maybe they'll be a really good player, maybe they won't, maybe they'll win a lot, maybe they won't, but I think they still benefit from the experience, and hopefully set an example. Like, if they do have some success, maybe it's enough just to be encouraging and let your kids do what they can do. They could succeed, they could fail, but it's theirs to do, and hopefully that can be a little bit of an example.
Yeah. Well, that's Brent's positive. So really what you take from it is it's a lesson of what would my wife call it? Like she would use some fancy word because she's way smarter than me. But essentially you're saying, hey, I don't want to be that guy. I want to show some empathy and some patience and meet my kid where they're at. Show them, teach them discipline, teach them all the things they need to be, but let them go on their own path, on their own journey, and do what they want to do and learn how they want to learn in that situation. So here's my get off my lawn for this situation. It's not football or sports related, but and people will probably think, boy, that's very minor, and you seem really grumpy about it. It's the whole fucking point of this segment, right? So, and yeah, I'm dropping F-bombs because I can. It's my podcast. I do what I want. And it's not for kids. So here's my thing. My get off my lawn situation is people who disregard expiration dates on food. I'm not talking about like, oh, I forgot about this perishable item. I'm talking about people who you pull something out, you see the expiration date. It's a perishable item. You see the expiration date is a week, 2 weeks, a month past, and they either say, oh, it's fine, or they don't say anything at all, and they just put it back in the fridge and act like everything's good. My wife tells me all the time, she goes, did you have a bad experience with like a bad food or something as a kid? Because you get really hypersensitive about like meat. If meat's a day or two old, I don't I have to get I smell it, and I have this giant freaking nose. So I have like the scent of a bloodhound. So I'm picking up on everything, and I'm like, oh wait, I smelled something there. So I have to ask her. I'm like, is this bad? And she's like, no, it's fine. So I'm like, but look at the color. She's like, it's fine, Josh. So, but anyways, I don't like that people don't take my take that seriously. How I would make that a positive is this: I am less likely to get food poisoning. Those people aren't. It's on them. So that's my positive. It's not really a positive because ultimately they would get food poisoning, but I won't. So
I would be the person.
all right.
I would be more likely to get food poisoning because I play it a little bit fast and loose with the expiration date. Now my wife is an expiration date Nazi. If it's one day
Okay.
over, she's throwing it in the trash. She's not smelling it. Nothing. It's like dunzo. But hey, I'll push it a little bit once in a while.
Well, you know, I don't know if this. There'll be times if I go back home to Delphus. It's not uncommon for me to find like a salad dressing from 2000, from like 4 years ago in my parents' fridge, and I'm like, "Hey, did you see this?" They're like, "Oh, we didn't even know it was back there." So, Mom, Dad, that's not directed at you, but let's be honest, we've found some old salad dressing in the past. So, but yeah, so that's our get off my lawn segment. Now we're just going to go right into kind of what I call surrounded by brilliance, rapid yet not so rapid fire questions. So this is some of these questions. If you've listened to the podcast, are staples. I like to ask every first time guest. So here's a staple, Brent. If we could rewind 20 to when you were 20 years old, and I said, "Hey, Brent, you've got to either give up your looks or your sense of humor the rest of your life. Which one would you choose and why?" So ultimately, at 20, you've hit your peak in the looks department. From there on, it's downhill.
It's that's easy decision. I'd give up my looks in a second. I'd get old and fat and ugly, and if I keep my sense of humor, that'll be fine. I'm totally on board with Brandon's answer with this. Like, ugly guys can still attract women if they're funny
Yeah.
and they got a good personality. You see it all the time.
Yeah.
I think I might even be an example of that with my wife.
I didn't want to say anything, but you might be.
Yeah, without a doubt, I would give up my looks and keep sense of humor.
I love the answer. I'm the same way. I agree. Father Time is undefeated when it comes to
Right.
looks, so you're never going to win that battle. But you can fight a longer, stronger battle with a sense of humor. So
Yes.
you got to hang on to that one. What's a fun fact about you that most people wouldn't know?
I started playing guitar like 3 years ago. And
Oh,
just
okay,
kind of
cool.
became self-taught. I got one for Christmas. Said I wanted one and started messing around with it. And YouTube is an incredible teacher. And
Yeah?
now I kind of it's something I do to relax. Love it. And so we started out with one. Then my son picked up one. He started playing a little bit. One of my daughters started playing a little bit. Now we have 5 guitars.
So you're just a family of riffers.
Yeah, sort of. Well, we make a lot of noise.
I keep pushing that goal back. I have a guitar. It was all right. I want to learn how to play this by the time I'm 40, and it was no by the time I'm 41. Now it's like by the time I'm 45, which is in a month.
Really
So I'm
long.
gonna have to push it out another year. I think you're a September baby too, if I remember correctly.
Close,
Or
October.
am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I digress. So that's cool. I didn't know that about you. I know you briefly mentioned it when we were talking about stuff earlier, but that's something I want to do. I've got to do it because I just think it'd be fun. I won't sound good, but I think that I could freestyle some really stupid, funny stuff.
It doesn't even matter. It's fun, especially when you can start playing stuff like that you recognize a little bit that might sound like a song.
Yeah.
So when I got mine Kim said, "You will never play this. This will sit in a closet, and this will be some stupid thing we throw away in 5 years." And I said, "No." I bought a little stand and set it next to the TV, like in our living room, so it's like there all the time. And so then every time I would walk past it and grab it, and like 5 minutes at a time here or there, and watch YouTube videos to figure out how to play, like, Smoke on the Water on one string, just to kind of make it sound like that, and then just kind of got the itch.
Well, that's cool. I actually envy you, so maybe that will motivate me to stop making excuses and dedicate an hour, an hour a few times a week, a few hours a week. So that's a fun fact. If you're looking for entertainment at your wedding in the Tip City area, Brent could play guitar. So there you go. Brent, what's one thing? Excuse me, what are you? You're 44, right?
Yep,
Or are you 43?
44.
So what's one thing 44-year-old Brent would tell his 22-year-old self if you could go back in time? You didn't know you were going to have these
That's
thought-provoking
a pretty deep question
questions.
for this podcast.
I know. Look, I'm trying to show the listeners that I'm multifaceted, so I throw that serious question in that encourages pontification. So, and I use words like pontification. See?
I would say just make sure you be yourself. Don't get caught up in like what you feel like are outside expectations on, who you're supposed to be or how you're supposed to act, that kind of stuff. Just let being yourself be. Let that let that kind of speak for itself, and let that be good enough.
That is it's a similar answer to what other people have said, and what I take from that is, we talked about we could take conversations we had back when we were in our 20s, and we could start them up now. But the flip side of it is also we've grown up so much, we've been through so much, we've learned so many things that now we realize that all the noise and the chaos back then and all the shit that you'd worry about and the things that you would try to live up to, they didn't mean anything
matter at all.
because So that's a great answer, and it just reinforces that if we could get our kids to actually really do that and listen to that, boy, they would be so much smarter than us so much sooner.
Yeah.
Right? I tell my kids that. I'm like, look, you're going to be smarter than me sometimes. At some point in your life, you will be smarter than me, but you aren't there yet. It's like when they try to pull something over on you. But all right, this is the last serious question. Then I'll get to some fun ones. What's your favorite thing about being a dad?
Oh, just like the times when we're just hanging out and being silly and just like making the kids laugh, doing some stupid dad thing, and then they all start laughing, and then just kind of pouring it on and just getting everybody wound up, having a good time, laughing about stupid things that, like just jokes that nobody else would get, or things that you'd be probably too embarrassed to say in front of anybody else, but that our kids think are funny. Yeah,
good answer. I like it. So we'll get rid of the serious for now. I'm gonna ask. We're gonna talk about some TSU stuff now. Right. What's your favorite on-field memory from our days at TSU? Whether game, practice, locker room, whatever. And we can talk more about other stuff too. But what's something that pops out in your head? Or Hensel's like, he's like, I'll give you 3. I was like, all right, give me 3, give me 4. I don't care. Let's just talk about fun stuff. So name some.
The other day on the radio, I heard the song "Some Girls Do." But who sings? Is that Sawyer Brown?
Great. I don't know.
Anyways, it was like I heard that song on the radio, and I was like transported to the football locker room at Tri-State with all the smells and everything, because that song was like on repeat in the locker room. It was like one of the seniors had this CD, and they just played that over and over and over every day. So that was probably like our freshman year. I don't know.
Oh.
I remember that.
Well, then it was probably LaFeld or Whirling or something.
It might have been Whirling. Yeah, it might.
Yeah.
I remember that just that feeling, you know, and like practice every day. I probably remember more things about practice than I do the games, because we were there so much. We spent so much time.
So much time.
Like that practice field, the walk out to practice. And and specifically remembering when I got mature enough as a player to view that as an opportunity and not a grind. Because especially when you're young, like that first year, especially training camp, that first year was murder. Like 3 weeks, 3 weeks of two-a-days, and they took our car keys. That first week, it was just like, are you kidding me? This is awful. Even the second year is so much better, because you have your friends, and then you reconnect, and everybody's happy to see each other again. And so I'll never forget that walk out to the practice field. And then, like within a game, actually, I don't know how this came up the other day, or I was talking to one of the other coaches. Playing our last game at the Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton. It was memorable for me. Unfortunately, that was the week before Nick Vanover got hurt. I was kind of like the number 2 linebacker at all 3 spots. So I came in and played that last game and had the best game I ever had. I had, 7 or 8 tackles, batted down a pass, and we won. We won 20-6, I think, and it was just a great feeling and great memory to end our playing career that way. At that stadium, going out with a win. I think I still have that picture somewhere of all 20 of us that were left in that senior class sitting together at the end of that game.
Yeah, I remember that picture. I have that picture somewhere, but it's buried out in our pole barn somewhere in a thing. Like, well, it's funny. Like you talk, like Hensel and I talked about this, and you can hear it when it comes out. Like we had a lot of good frickin' linebackers there. So much that like really good linebackers like yourself didn't always get as much time on the field as you should, and any place else you'd be starting for at least 2 years. So I'm like, dude, Tri-State was like back then was like linebacker.
Oh yeah,
we brought in just so many studs, and even Hensel came in as a linebacker, and they're like, hey, do you want to play D end? And he's like, can I get on the field sooner if I do that? And Schoondog's like, we think so, right?
Yep.
So Hensel gives you, well, Hensel and myself too, but Hensel gave you some props on his podcast. You'll have to definitely listen to that one. He said I believe he used the phrase, you hit pretty blank and hard. He didn't use the curse word, I did. But I do have a funny story I wanted to bring up to you, if it's okay to bring it up to you. Do you? I'll stop. I'll tell a little bit of it, and then you can. This was off the field. You remember how on Thursday nights, a lot of times we would congregate. This is when we still lived in the dorms, but Brandon and Kurt Miller and Krotzman and those guys lived in that house, and Wordling was still there too at this point. And we started at Brandon and them's house. We were old enough, so I can tell the story. We were partaking in some adult beverages. It was Thursday night, and you and I were eating crackers. Does this ring a bell?
I don't remember this. Eating crackers?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell it. So we're eating like the Roundhouse
All right.
crackers. I think you'll end up in there. And you somebody was like, "You guys are just eating those plain crackers and they're dry." And I think it was you looked over and you're like, "These need some flavor." So you went out and you went and got like garlic salt or garlic powder, and you just put a little bit on. You tried it. You're like, "Not bad." I'm like, "Hey, let me try that." Put a little bit on. So then you and I are just sitting there eating crackers with garlic powder on them. 20 minutes later, crackers are gone, and they're like, and the other guys are like, "What are you idiots doing?" We're like, "I don't know. We're hungry. We didn't get enough to eat." And then we ended up going over. There was a fraternity having a party, so we went over there. We partook. Later on, we go back to our dorm, and I don't know. It's early in the morning. Jadich is asleep. We go into his room and just start like belching it. We're just burping in his face. And all of a sudden he wakes up and he's like, "Oh my God, what is that smell?" He doesn't really he doesn't know because he's half asleep. He's like, what is that smell?" And he's like, "It smells like garlic." And you and I are just sitting there laughing. It was so funny. And then the next day, you and I think we had a class together, or we saw each other and we were walking through. And you're like, "Dude, I am sweating out garlic right now."
I remember that.
And if you think I need to edit that out, I'll edit it out. But I made it PG enough. But it. I told my wife that story, and she's like, she just looks at me. She's like, "Why were you putting garlic on a cracker?" I'm like, "Honey, it was 20 some years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we did. It happened. We had fun.
You know, maybe 15 beverages deep at that point. That's
maybe it was.
Lots of
Yeah, it
things
was.
could look like a good idea.
It was Thirsty Thursday. But,
And just like the pattern of what do we do when we get home at night? Go mess with Jadich.
Yeah. Jadich. I haven't talked to him in a while. I text with him occasionally, but he, you know who Hensel? You remember Mark Hurt? Hensel brought him up on last night. Mark Hurt, redheaded dude who was just country strong.
Yes. Yeah, like
we talked about him.
Freakishly strong, kind of like
Yeah.
like a kind of a scary backwoods kind of dude. I felt like.
All right. So I asked Hensel this question. Lot to pick from. If you had to put together, and you can just use your 4 years here, you have to put together like the ultimate tri-state defense during our 4 years.
Oh,
Just start naming off some guys and positions. And some of this is just like it was fun when Hensel and I did it, so because we're like, oh yeah, him. And some of it's so that these guys get shout outs, and then maybe they'll want to listen to this, and then they want to reconnect and things like that. So what would that look like? And you don't have to get exactly 11 guys, just some guys that pop in your head.
Well, like you said, that linebacker room was so good. Like right away, I think of Ike, John, and Kyle.
Yeah.
Ike Sturgis, John Worling, and Kyle Chrisman. Those three were really good athletes, really smart football players, really, really physical. Those three stand out. You know, Anstead, super, super smart, like field general. Not as athletic.
Very smart.
But like a Vanover was really good too.
Yeah.
He was like a year younger than us. Danny Protzman. I still tell stories about Danny Protzman. Like had to be like the meanest guy I've ever. I'm so glad we were friends because he was the toughest, meanest guy I'd ever seen. And he was an unbelievable defensive end. I'm not sure who I would put on
Yeah.
the other side. I'm trying to think of. I'm kind of drawing a blank with defensive end. Steck Schulte was an absolute bully at corner.
Oh,
Coach Nemeth was
so
talking
good.
about him the other day. Like, just we kind of like, we always played, cover 4 quarters, but a lot of times
Yep.
they would just lock Steck up and he would just bully the receiver and just almost like
Yeah.
X the guy out because he
Yeah, he just out physical
Yeah.
him. I mean,
Yeah.
he Nemeth talked about, this is a funny story. Nemeth talked about, he's like, Steck Schulte. He's like, I think that guy ran like a 4.9 or a 5 flat 40.
yeah.
Now, Steck was a little faster than that, but I did get a text from Steck after that podcast came out, and he's like, good podcast, but 4.9, 4.5 or 5. I'm like, what? He goes, he said I only ran a 4.9 or a 5. I'm like, that's all. Hey, it's all good, Steck. You did good, buddy.
But he wasn't a fast corner. Like Joe's right. Steck was really a linebacker, and he just played.
Well, he came in at quarterback.
Yeah,
He was a quarterback. That's what he came in as.
Yeah, who else would?
But Jason Hart,
Well,
Otto Schragle.
you would, yeah. Otto and Jason were incredible back there.
They were so good. So good. Mookie. Hensel brought him up. I'm like, yeah, Mook was a good corner. He was fast. He was slick. Derek Eby was, and we were trying to figure out what if Derek was a year or 2 years younger than us, but we couldn't figure it out. I know Derek listens to the podcast, so I'm sure when either Hensel or this podcast comes out, he'll correct
us. He was a good
us.
safety, and who else was Lee Scholes, the real tall, fast guy.
Lee Scholes.
He was.
Yeah.
Lee could run like a deer. Then, like, our interior line was Jordan Geely.
Oh.
If Jordan was 6'3", he might have played in the NFL. He was incredibly good.
It would be like I mean, he just and shout out to Coach Jordan Geely, I believe Fresno State
now.
right?
Yeah.
So, well done, Coach Jordan Geely. So, we got some funny stories we could share about you on here, but we won't. So
I've gotten to be around Jordan in the professional setting, and he's fantastic, like super teacher and everything. And then once in a while, it's a little bit hard for me to take him seriously, just because of some of the memories that we have. But I'm happy for him, and I love keeping up with his teams.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I don't have any other questions or for you. We're pushing up against an hour here, and if people are still listening to this, good. You should be, because Brent's awesome. I'm awesome, obviously. See me in the background. But I appreciate you having a willingness to come on here, and this is I knew this would happen, but this is good. It's good for me selfishly, because I'm reconnecting with people who I haven't talked to in a long time. And now we will be sure to stay connected and not, let life get in the way like we did the last 20 years. But we might have to have you. Brandon comes up here a lot. I try to get down to Brandon's. But do you do any bird hunting or any type of hunting down there?
I deer hunted for a while. I haven't been as much lately, because like right now I'm in the middle of like kids, like my kids are in school sports, and so we're like a ball game every night, which is awesome. Like but so that kind of stuff has kind of gone to the wayside. But it's crazy. Like my first one's already through. She graduated high school. So I don't want to wish
one more
that time away.
What's that?
I don't want to wish any of that time away. I want to,
don't
watch them all that I can.
You don't want to. We're almost empty nesters. Grace is gainfully employed doing her thing on the east side of the state. Because we blended a family. I brought Grace to this marriage, and my wife brought her 2 kids, and so we have an 18-year-old at home, and the other 2 are out, but out of the house. And yeah, you do start. You're like, it'd be nice if they were back here more. But there is a little bit. Part of me sometimes I'm like, it is quieter, but I know that there'll be days when I'm wishing it wasn't so quiet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But so Brandon and I and some other buddies, like we do a decent amount of like bird hunting in the fall into winter, early spring. Sometimes we go down to Ohio. Maybe I'll get a hold of you if you're interested and see if you want to go. If you have availability when we're down to Ohio, it'll be a little easier for you.
Yeah.
If you're interested.
Pheasant hunt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I have a dog. My dog is a bird dog, but ironically, he's not going to be hunting this season. He's got to have, he tore his ACL. So he's young enough, like he's only 6. So he's going to have ACL surgery on Monday, actually. But, I know. I get that look. People are like, "You're doing that?" I'm like, he's still super active. Like, I mean, if he was 12 years old, it'd be a different conversation. But like, he's healthy and active. And the ACL happened hunting. He fell into a gopher hole. But anyways, let's definitely stay connected. And I'm sure I'll be reaching out to you to be on this podcast again in the future if you have a desire to do so.
I would love that. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I appreciate you. This has been fun. I enjoyed it. And what the fans or the listeners didn't see or hear was your lovely wife. I didn't know that I was going to get to see her, but she was on before we started recording. She's clearly the brains and the beauty of the operation
100%.
there. So you guys have been together 21 years, and you've found a way to not screw it up. So keep doing that.
Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by real